I was very, very depressed.
He has been very vitriolic.
No lawyer would take our case.
I think it was despicable that
I met Rick in the 80s. I met Rick in California. He was a controversial journalist. As an athlete myself, I wanted only Rick Wayne to write about me. Because when Rick Wayne wrote about you, people read about you.
Rick Wayne as a personality is enormous. I mean, the guy was Mr. World, Mr. Olympia, Mr. USA, Mr. Great Britain, and a whole host of other things.
Then he decided one day that he announced that he was moving to St. Lucia, and he's decided he's had enough of California and he wanted to move to St. Lucia. And it was a big decision for me at the time because I was an athlete who had quite a good career, and I was young. I didn't really want to move to St. Lucia, to a place I'd never heard of, but Rick was adamant that this is where he wanted to move back, this is where he wanted to make an impact. No bank loaned us any money when we started our business, not a single cent. We started with all of our savings, all of our equipment. So it was so important for the business to succeed. I mean, when we were in California and we moved, he said, we have to buy a printing press. He said, we cannot move to St. Lucia without a press. And I said, but most publishers don't print. And he said, not in St. Lucia. I've learned that if you want to be truly free, you must own your press. And he was very right.
There was no such thing as freedom of the press unless you owned the press.
There was a dramatic change in the appearance of The Voice when he became editor.
The Voice established my reputation. So by the time I came up with my own paper, it was not a whole new thing, wondering what this guy was about. They already knew.
The headline is what would grab you to the newspaper in the first place.
In summing up, making her case, Susie said, what we have here is a case of gun in hand, penis and vagina. She nailed the rapist, is what the story was about. But that had been turned into Susie gets a man finally.
But you could have a great headline and a lousy story.
A headline is supposed to inspire you to read. My pictures were very seldom taken from more than 5 feet away. So people's expressions, their eyes, and I didn't take one picture, I took a whole series of pictures.
You'd write a story about a politician who seems disconnected, and you would see a photograph of that politician in Parliament almost sleeping.
I took my own pictures. I knew in advance what I wanted the pictures to say, so I looked out. I studied my subject. I have to be honest and tell you that in the early days, I was very, very depressed. Wednesday, the Labour Party people wanted to hang me. By Saturday, it was the United Workers' Party people who wanted to hang me, which is another way of saying Rick is independent of mind, but they don't realize that when they say that you never know who Rick's supporting when, because I don't support party, I support policy.
The Star would go beyond what most journalists would, and give you more of the gory details, which I think helped to, to challenge our conscience a little more, because it wasn't just about there's another case of incest, but here, this is what is happening in our country.
But what most people seem not to realize is that the back page carries messages. And the messages never have anything directly to do with the photographs.
No lawyer wanted to go up against the government.
It bothered me a lot. It was very stressful. But at the end of the day, I always believed in what I was doing. And I suppose I was especially fortunate to have May with me.
When Rick was told that he was nominated for the OBE, his first thing was not to want to accept it, because Rick doesn't really like awards and accolades, and he thinks he does, you know, he's. But I, you know, sat down and I said, Rick, you must accept it. You must accept it because it is John Compton giving it to you.
I think the Star gave a voice to many of the voiceless in St. Lucia, and that, to a large extent, contributed to its popularity.
What he did was to change the attitude of politicians, because they really had no respect for people in the media before. But I believe that today, media in St. Lucia are highly respected and even feared.
Never before in the history of journalism in this country has journalism received the respect it now has, albeit reluctant respect, but it's respected. Politicians now, I dare say it, actually fear journalists.